Okay, hello everyone, how are you? So, guys, welcome to this topics explanation of the intermediate one of the Model 1 course. My name is Julian Andres Uni, and this is what we are going to do. A short reminder of the course introduction, course rules and procedures, Model 1 content, grammar review for the Model number 1, Model 1 tasks, and final comments that we are going to have at the end. So about the course introduction, remember that we are working in Canvas with 6 activities in total in just one model. We have 3 learning activities and 3 assessment activities. We are going to see the difference at the end. Learning activities are like workshops that we are going to be working on. Remember that if you have any like problem, you can just stop in there and keep on working for the rest of the activities. But with the assessment activities, we you don't have that. The all right. So let's continue with the moral verbs. That is our first topic. We have modal verbs, and remember that modals are those verbs that we use to modify the intention of a sentence. Yes, it is not the same. Pass me the sal. That would you pass me the sal? But in this case, we are going to relate those modal verbs for traveling vocabulary. So we have, for example, passport luggages and things that we must or must not do. We have in this case must and have to. The modal verb must is representing an obligation, yes, that you need to have for these um, travels that you may do. We must carry our passports, or we must not take pictures of statues in the museum. So with must, the intention is that in affirmative form, you have it like an intrinsic motivation because you know that you need to do that thing. And with the negative form, remember that is because you have a rule that is not allowing you to do something. You can use both ways, must not or mustn't. And with have to, don't have to, or doesn't have to, um, we have it like we don't have to pack warm clothing, and he doesn't have to use a camera in his trip. Also expresses like obligations that you may have over there in the use of this language. About traveling abroad, this is an example of this modal verb. You must have a visa and passport, or you mustn't give your documents to strangers. Yes, because they are like things that are like set for you to not to do or just to do. We're using have to. You have to search online first. So look at this. Look at this. The structure of have to, we use the to in the middle of two verbs, but with must, we don't use the preposition to. We don't use it in any moment. Look at it. Must give, mustn't give, or must have, right? Let's continue with these modal verbs. We have, in this case, should. You need things to remember. You use should. So this is our kind of advice that you can give, and you can talk about feelings too. We have this structure, as you can see, subject, modal, verb, the verb in infinitive. We don't use any conjugation, even if we have it in the third person. She and he are third person. You don't have any conjugation in here, because remember that in English we only can conjugate the verb one time, and the modal verb is giving that type of conjugation. So Let's read the examples. She should carry a bottle of water. He should not take a lot of clothes. We should use a camera. They shouldn't stay outside for a long time when it's winter. Remember that you can use both the long form or the short form of shouldn't. We have the negative form directly in the modal verb. These are examples. And the next topic is simple past. And remember that simple past is used to talk about past events. Yes, the minute or the second ago, it's already past. So those things that happened or were like historical events. When we use these tense, it is important to make references, yes, to use some specific words that help us to give the reference to the past. We are going to see those references. Um, to talk about past, we need to know that we need the conjugation into the simple past. So we have two main division in here, two main subdivisions in here, regular verbs and irregular verbs. The regular verbs, nice, because you only add ed at the end and you have the conjugation for past. For example, I played, you loved, she cooked, we enjoyed, he fainted, yes? Only add ed. If the verb ends in e, like love, we are just going to add deep, and that's it. The irregular verbs, we need to give an extra classification. The ones that change completely from their base form and the ones that don't change. Yes. The first one, the ones that change, um, we have become, became, understand, understood, sit, sat, have, had. But remember that we have a long list that you need to learn by heart because they are like the irregular ones, the ones that you need to learn, and the rest would be the regulars. Oh, we also have the verbs that don't change. For example, cut, cast, hit, and let. We use the same structure for the present or for the simple past. There's a good news in here. We have only one conjugation for the verbs in past. We don't need to think about the pronouns in the case we need to do the conjugation in the simple past. We use the same conjugation as in simple past for all the subjects. We have two examples in here in the affirmative form. He worked for 10 years, or they bought the new car 2 hours ago. All right. Let's continue with the negative form. The negative form for the simple past, we need to use an auxiliary that translates into Spanish no, no, but also give us the order to our brain to conjugate the verb. For example, in Spanish we have ella celebra in present, but in past ella celebró. Yes. Now with the negative form, ella no celebra este cumpleaños, or ella no celebró. You know, no, it is marked by didn't. That is the negation, not. Plus, you know that you need to conjugate the verb into past. That is the thing that we are marking with this auxiliary. You can use did, not, separate, or didn't, as you wish over there. If we have the question form, we are going to use the same auxiliary, but without the negation, or it could be with the negative form, did or didn't, any of them, because you can have negative questions too. But in this case, we have did. So we're going to move the auxiliary from here next to the verb to the beginning of the sentence. And the rest will continue the same, plus the question mark at the end. Did he travel as vacation? Now, if we want to know extra information, not just a closed answer like the previous question, we can add a WH word to give a question. For example, where did they travel as vacation? And look at it. We have exactly the same structure of the question, but we are adding the question at the beginning. Where? All right, let's continue with the discourse markers. In the discourse markers, we have that they are used for us to use them when we are talking or writing. And depending on the action or the intention that we have, we are going to use one or the other. For example, to add information, yes, because we have more ideas about the same topic, we add information, you can use and to also moreover furthermore as well as. It in the written content you usually add the comma after each discourse marker. Yes, for example, and comma, she said that it was right. To sequence events, that you have a sequence of events, you're going to sequence them. You can say firstly, secondly, after, before, next, and meanwhile. And remember, we have some examples in here, but you can look for more. To show similarities, we have likewise, also, similarly, equally, in same way, similar to. To express the contrast, this idea is about this, but we have this other idea. The more like the easier would be, but the idea is to look for discourse markers. We have however, whereas, on the other hand, conversely, alternatively, unlike. To emphasize, give we have the next ones, especially, clearly, essentially, particularly, above all, definitely, because you want to make emphasis on a specific part of your discourse or your text. Also to show cause and effect, something starts, an action is being done, and that action manages to cause an effect, another action could be. So in this case, we have because, hence, therefore, no, hence, therefore, as a result, consequently, and thus. All right, let me give on one little second just to confirm that we are all of us in this class. So we have some phrasal verbs, and these phrasal verbs are words that we join